Okay, so where we're at with the aliens, we have now all of the results of your coin flips. You converted those genotypes, those H's, to whatever letter code we've established for that trait. You have used this key to the phenotypic outcomes to eventually create a fill in the grid here for your different aliens. So here I have Zertha, and I've shown you this already in class. So I've keyed it out. I've used the genotypes recoded, figuring out what that would translate to in the phenotype. And then from there, I've drawn my alien. And I've seen a lot of yours already, so that's really great. And you did that 5 different times because you built 5 aliens. Okay, so that's what you've submitted on Shobi. And then I talked about this, so you probably have included this, I hope, too, on Shobi, because you wanted to pick one of your aliens. You're creating a little Tinder ad, and then you're gonna go find a mate. So so Zertha advertised, and I'm gonna thank you very much, Ella. I borrowed one of your aliens because you did a really nice job with your aliens. So here's one of Ella's aliens, Sazam, I think, as if I read it correctly. And this was what she built using that particular set of traits that she had for this alien. And they found true love, so now they're going to get married and they're going to have kids. So, or alien babies, I should say, kids. So this is your next task. Now, what you're about to see here, you don't need to do all of, so let me just explain before you start launching in. But what I did here is say, okay, I recopied Zertha's information. I kind of just, I cut out most of it, and I just have what the trait is, what that recorded genotype was for Zertha, and then what that translated into for her phenotype. So I need this information for my spouses, right? So Zertha being one of them. And so I did the same thing for Ella, as I borrowed Sazam's image here and the information, all the genotypes that she had for each of these traits and what those phenotypes were, because these two now are going to get married and have kids. So this part right here, you don't need to do, but I just wanted to use it to show you. So this is Zertha's, these are her chromosomes. So in her germ cell, in other words, in whatever she has that produces sex cells or gametes, she has a cell that has this information in it. She received this information specifically from her parents, right? But this is what she was given. So in terms of the different alleles that she received from each of her parents. So we have the H representing the head shape and the B representing the body shape. And so she got a copy of the capital letter version of that allele, the dominant version, from one parent, but from the other parent she received the recessive form. When it came to body shape, she got the dominant allele from both parents. And so she got that round body form. And then etc. So I won't go through all of these, but all the way up through the sex alleles, or the ones that determine her gender, we're going to put on just these 2 chromosomes, or rather I should say this homologous pair for this alien. So I color-coded them so you can kind of see what I did. But remember that she doesn't send all of this information to her sex cells or gametes. She's going to go through the process of meiosis, and so each of these is going to make a copy of itself in the S phase. There might be some crossing over that's going to occur. Here's her these are her G gametes here, so we're using for her sex chromosomes right here. And so this crossover event that happens in meiosis 1 is going to result in more variation for her gametes. So then she's going to create these gametes. And Sazam's germ cell is going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of course, using this particular code. So what his alleles were for those traits. Remember, alleles, we're talking about the letters that are representing one of the two, the pair that represents the genotype. Okay, so far so good. So now, using that, we're going to use that combination of their potential alleles here for each of these traits to build these babies. And so what you see here is what we're going to do next. And so what these things are called here are called Punnett squares. And there's the name up here. And so for each one of the traits, so I showed you here by number. So here's head shape, the head shape trait. And here it was Zertha's allele. So she had the big H, little h for head shape. And so did Sazam. So he also had an allele for the dominant form of the allele and the recessive form. And so we're going to use this Punnett square then to actually build these aliens. But when we do that, we're going to put hers on the top. This is just for my own, I always do it like this. So put her alleles that she has for that given trait here, and I color-coded them. And then I'm putting his alleles for that particular trait here. And then what we're going to do is cross them so that the big H here, or the dominant allele here, as well as hers, are going to go right here together. So this is the first genotype for their baby number 1. Her lowercase or recessive form of this allele is going to go here together with this one across here. So this one travels to this square, and this one comes down to here. And then his recessive form of his allele is going to go here. In this case, her dominant one is coming down here. And then both of their recessive forms are going to end up in this square here. So what this represents then is the head shape for baby number 1, baby number 2, baby number 3, and baby number 4. We're going to do the exact same thing though with the body shape, with the color, with the eyes. So putting what the different allele possibilities are for each of the parents. So Zerth is here, and then Zaisam's here, and then you're going to cross them. So you're going to just following that same pattern of creating these 4 squares with those combinations of the 2 alleles from Zertha and from Sazam. And then once you have that, you're going to use this first, color-coded this first square to just say, oh, well, here's the first square, and let's say this happened to be the square for the head shape, the very first trait. Then baby number 1 is going to have, I'm going to use the information that's here to build the baby's head for that particular one. So for this one, remember this up here, if I come back up here, we would see that there'd be 2 capital H's right here. And then the second one, number 2, baby, would have be heterozygous, have both a dominant and a recessive allele here. The third baby, which I'm saying is this square right here, would be, again, a dominant and a recessive form of the allele. And then the fourth baby would have only the recessive or homozygous recessive alleles for head shape. So essentially what I would see, because we said that the allele is a dominant allele, is that all 3 babies would have an alien head shape, but the 4th baby wouldn't. And the 4th baby, in order to be sure what that 4th baby's head shape is, I'd come to here and I'd say, oh, here we go. So, oops, now I got to go a little further. I'd go up here and say, okay, if the baby has the homozygous recessive alleles for that trait, then it's going to have a round head. So I just keep going like that until I build the baby using, so I have 12 Punnett squares, each one of them representing one of those traits, using Sezam's alleles for that trait, using Zertha's alleles for that trait, following that same pattern here. And then always using the first square here, so this would be for baby number 1 for head shape. Here's baby number 1 for body. Here's baby number 1, their color. Here's baby number 1 for the number of eyes, etc. And then if I'm building the second baby or drawing it, I'm going to use this square right here, representing baby number 2's head shape, baby number 2's body shape, baby number 2's color, etc. And just keep going. So you have 4 babies in the end. And so this is just sort of the guide. This square is always representing the baby number 1, baby number 2, baby number 3, and baby number 4. So you're going to draw those 4 babies from that data. And I hope that helps.